You're listening to the SSPX podcast, and welcome to episode 42 of the Crisis in the Church series. Today, we're joined by His Excellency Bishop Bernard Fellay, one of the 4 bishops consecrated by Archbishop Lefebvre in 1988. He, better than almost anyone, can help us understand what was happening during those pivotal days and what was going through the mind of the Archbishop as he wrestled with this momentous decision. But besides having an interesting conversation about church history with someone who was a part of it, we're also going to ask His Excellency, how can the Society of St. Pius X justify what the Archbishop did? On the surface, this was an act of disobedience against the Holy Father. According to the swift, severe response from the Vatican just days afterwards, this was a schismatic act. We'll welcome Bishop Fellay right now to help us understand what happened in 1988. Welcome to the SSPX podcast and our next episode on the Crisis in the Church series, and very happy and privileged to welcome His Excellency Bishop Fellay. Hello, Your Excellency. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Hello, Mr. Latam.
Hello. You're traveling in Argentina right now?
I am in Buenos Aires, yes.
Excellent. Well, I hope the travels were safe and all right, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us. Your Excellency, we've been talking about the history of the Society of St. Pius X. In our last episode, we went all the way up to 1988. And we figured there's no better person to talk to about this because, well, you were there. So our main question today is, how do we justify the consecrations of 4 bishops in 1988? But before we talk about that specifically, could we talk a little bit about the history? What was it that finally led Archbishop Lefebvre to realize this was something he needed to do? He must have been thinking about this for a long time.
We even have found a note from him in 1982 in Albano, where he says, it is possible that one day we will have to consecrate bishops. So it's quite a long time, at least 6 years, you can see. Definitely, he was mentioning it, so he was thinking about it, not as a immediate necessity, but it shows that he was already looking at that perspective. And things going worse in the church, and his health or his age, simply because at the time of the consecration there was no noticeable problem with his health. It was rather the situation of the church going. It's really interesting to see Archbishop Lefebvre always continuously hoped that there would be a change in Rome. There would be this kind coming to a realization that that's not the right way. This Vatican II, the reforms are harming the church, and so we have to go back. Even when he consecrated us, he told us, in 5-6 years, Rome will come back to us. And took some more years before they make the move. It was, in fact, the double. It was in 2000 that they came for the first time. And so these circumstances were then more acute in 86 with Assisi. Mm-hmm. It is very clear that the episode of Assisi has been like a click. Archbishop Lefebvre himself said that it was one of the 2 signs he had asked God for. So you see, Archbishop is reflecting, but he's also praying. He prays a lot to see what he needs to do. Is it that? Should I do that or not? He, in fact, every night he would go in front of the Blessed Sacrament every night, at least the last year, since 87, maybe even before, but we know that. So praying, asking God, asking heavens, what should I do? Should I go ahead with this measure, which is really, really extraordinary, very special, out of anything known since centuries. And but definitely Assisi, this incredible event marked Archbishop Fellay very, very deeply. That's so unheard. At the sermon at Easter, I guess, was it 87? Was it 86? So 86 would have been before the Assisi, but it was already announced. He says, who with this man sitting on the See of St. Peter? He is really, really disturbed. That cannot be. He's the vicar of Christ. And to look positively at the other religions, as if the other religions were able to do anything, was out. It was difficult to imagine a greater betrayal on the side of a pope than this one. Mm-hmm. And so that's one element. The other element, as I said, is the continuation of the reforms. And that was the second sign. It was, Archbishop Fellay was in discussion. It was never cut with Rome. And in Rome had accepted, Cardinal Ratzinger had accepted that Archbishop Fellay would present questions. We call that dubia, doubt, on the religious liberty. And in the spring of 88, he finally received the answer from Rome to these dubia, to these questions on the religious liberty. And in this, Rome did recognize, yes, religious liberty is something new. It is something new, but it's okay. And, we know that the revelation is finished with the end of the apostles, the death of the apostles. And so how could there be something new? And, of course, Rome will try to say it is in the development of the teaching of the church, but, well, it's obvious that it is not. It is contrary. In 87, also, in a discussion with Cardinal Ratzinger, on this point precisely, there was a major discussion in Rome. It is the end of July, and Archbishop Fellay had already announced, I'm going to make bishops. And so Rome, and there is a long set of discussions with Rome, which will find important point with the visitation of Cardinal Gagnon in October 87. But so in July, Archbishop Lefebvre is mentioning the kingship, the social kingship of Christ. And Cardinal Ratzinger says something like, no, it doesn't work, it's not good. And Archbishop Lefebvre to say, but you are against 1,500 years of the church. And Cardinal Ratzinger reflects and say, no, it's not right, it's not good. So just for the people who listen to us, what do we mean with religious liberty? Precisely there, we mean the relation between the church and the state. And the teaching of the church has always been God and our Lord is the creator of every being, the one who is giving the existence to every being, so also to the state, also to the civil society and government. It's a point of faith that it is God and even our Lord himself who gives the power to anybody who has power. The President of the United States does not receive the power from the people who elect him. It's really the people who elect him, but the power he received from God. and he will give answer, he will give account to God. And that's why, let's say, being this dependency of every creature to God, every creature is also obliged to follow the rules, the laws of God. And one of these will be to favor the true religion. Of course, you can see in the states, you have as a principle, the state is independent, is neutral to any religion. And that's what you call religious liberty. There are other aspects of religious liberty, but that's a fundamental point which is new in the Church with Vatican II. Really, till then, the Church has always said the state must favor the true religion, and, of course, then, if you are in such a situation where you can't because of the historical situation, for example, you have a country with a mixed combination of many religions, you can understand that the state will not be able to get to that perfection and will have to give some rights and protection to the other religions, and that we call tolerance.
Right.
Tolerance. So the teaching of the Church has always been for the state to try to find a kind of peace at the religious level is okay, but in the name of tolerance, not of giving all rights equal because all religions are equal. It's a different perspective. But with Vatican II, you at least give the impression to enter into this new system. And so there is a very hot, we may say, discussion, because at a certain point, Archbishop Fellay is standing up and he say, Your Eminence, to Karen Ratzinger, for us, Jesus Christ is everything. Everything. We live for him. We live for his kingship. And obviously, Karen Ratzinger does not know what happens. He's in another world. There are two worlds there. And even Archbishop would say, we cannot work together. You demolish what the Church has built at the level of the human society. Easily said also, on the other hand, and it's another argument which is easy to understand for everybody, our end, the end of man, is heaven. And the only organization which can bring us to heaven is the Catholic Church. Now, where does man live? He lives in a civil society. And so it is obvious that this civilized society must do at the level of the temporal society, not supernatural, but natural. But this must procure all the means at its level for man to get to heaven, and not multiply the obstacles by forced laws, by allowing on any kind of temptation and so on, as it is now the case. It is so obvious that the society in which man is living all his time should be helping man to get to his end, which is heaven, and not open doors which lead him into sin. It's really obvious. But for us, it's a mystery how this has kind of disappeared from the teaching of the Church. And so this answer from Rome comforted Archbishop Fellay in saying, we have to do something. It's about the survival, not of a human work. It's never this perspective. It's about the survival of a work which is part of the Church and which is obviously procuring these means of salvation.
Can we, could I ask you, Your Excellency, about the events leading up to the consecrations? In our last episode, we just looked at these discussions that happened. There were letters and discussions back and forth. Rome agreed in principle to consecration of bishops, but they never gave a date. So leading up to the consecrations themselves, the week before, the night before, what could you get inside maybe the mind of Archbishop Lefebvre? What was he thinking at that time? And I know that's impossible for you to say, but you could probably answer better than anyone.
We know what he told us. So on the 5th of May, you have till then you had two priests. It was now Bishop Tissier and Father Laroche on the side of society who discuss in Rome or negotiate. The Archbishop is in Albano. He's helping them. He gets the information. He tells them what they have to say and so on. But on the 5th of May, they are all there, and Cardinal Ratzinger too. So they are all the big guys are there. And that's the moment when Archbishop Lefebvre says, okay, on the paper, you said that I can have a bishop, and we have given you 3 names as requested. The terna is given. And so when can I consecrate this bishop? Because I have postponed it. I have already postponed it 4 times, if I'm right. So I had announced this consecration, but with the relation with Rome, with the discussion, so on, he had postponed, and now it's the 30th of June. And Cardinal Ratzinger said, no, that's too early. We need more time. Then comes the question, and what about the 15th of August? No, it's possible in Rome. Nobody works in August. So why not the 1st of November? No, in Germany to make a bishop, we need at least 9 months. So why not the end of the year? And now comes the answer from Cardinal Ratzinger. I don't know. I can't say. And this led Archbishop Lefebvre thinking, so that's in his head, you play with me, you play games. You pretend that you're giving me a bishop, but you don't. You wait for my death. And nevertheless, so after this discussion in the evening, the secretary of Cardinal Ratzinger comes to Albano, because the discussion was in the Vatican. So he comes to Albano, it's Monsignor Clemens, and brings the paper which Cardinal Ratzinger has already signed, the famous protocol. And in this evening, Archbishop Lefebvre signs the protocol. He does. He even asks someone to take the picture, the photo of the signature. And so Monsignor Clemens go back to Rome with the text signed. And it is during the night, because Archbishop Lefebvre is not at ease precisely with this answer and with all the surroundings. It's not just one point, it's a whole thing, but you had this refusal of giving this practical consecration. So towards the very early morning, Archbishop Lefebvre has written a new letter to the Pope, and he says there 4 bishops for the 30th of June. He told us that will be the sign if Rome does want us or not. So, and under this big pressure from the Archbishop, Archbishop Lefebvre will receive an answer which will say, okay, 1 bishop, 1, not 4, 1 bishop for the 15th of August. So it seems, okay, this time we get 1. The letter continues, but give us other names. In other words, the names which have been given have been rejected. Mm-hmm. And the text, the letter says, other names which correspond to the profile of the protocol. And Archbishop Lefebvre to say, well, we have given 3 names, we can continue, and Rome can continue to say no, because who knows what is the profile of the protocol? Who can say that? And so, despite the fact that on the paper it is said, yeah, you get one, it was obvious that, again, in reality, we did not.
Mm-hmm.
Effectively, we did not. It's tied. It is certainly a question of interpretation of the behavior, but given all the surroundings for the Archbishop Lefebvre, it was clear it's not what we asked for. We don't see this support we need from the authority, and which led him to go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the beginning of June, Archbishop Lefebvre will announce publicly this time, we go ahead. So in the head of the Archbishop is they play with us. They play games.
Yeah.
They are not sincere. They don't want really the good of tradition. And with all what has happened, he knows, for example, each time that some seminarians have left us, they were promised big things in Rome. Indeed, it never lasts. Rome did force them to go back to the new mass, and so on. And
right.
He got even letters from seminarians who told him, we were betrayed. You're right.
Right.
He has all that in his hand. Right. And definitely all this is conditioning him, is bringing him to this conclusion.
You hear arguments often from people who don't quite understand. They say he just should have waited. The negotiations were ongoing. They would have given him a bishop, but he was convinced, because of all of this back and forth and all of these games, that it never would have happened.
That's precisely the case. Yeah.
Okay.
He was convinced. With this, you have to understand that even to get one, Rome did not want to get one. He had to make pressure to get this one. And even the protocol, it is said that this one is not necessary to the society, because once they are recognized, every bishop can come and ordain the priests. Mm-hmm. But that's pure theory.
Right.
You can see today what's going to happen now with this new motu proprio, and what is happening with the ordinations of the new candidate in all the ecclesiastic groups. What's going to happen with them?
Right.
And you see there this total dependency on the bishops. One word from Rome says, stop giving these ordinations, and it's done. They're done.
Yeah.
It's we have almost in front of us like a kind of repetition of what happened at our time. It's different, but you have some elements which are very similar.
Yes. What was the mind, or what was Archbishop Lefebvre's attitude, or his mindset on the day of the consecrations? He was going to go forward with this act, which it must have been a very strange ceremony in that sense. At least from my perspective, if I were him, I would think it would be very strange. On one hand, it's a joyous occasion. On the other hand, this is a big deal.
It was a big deal. And maybe we have to mention there another incident which happened on the eve preceding. A black car came, a limousine came from the nunciature, from the nuncio in Rome, in a Bern, and a letter was given to the Archbishop from his car, inviting him to step into this car. And it was the last try from Rome to prevent him to make this consecration. He mentioned that even in his sermon. And that's the most strange thing, because they did not mention why, what for. It was clear it was to prevent him, as if they would have thought that Archbishop was prisoner of the surroundings, and so to free him, you could just jump in this car, unknown from. It's very strange. So, well, you have strange aspects in the surroundings of this consecration, and I can tell you it was in the air when we had this procession entering into the huge tent. It was electrical. It was really electric. You could feel it. There was something. Of course, it's completely different. The atmosphere. The start and the end of the ceremony is two different things. I don't say black day and night. It's not that, but it's something different. And it is true that at the end, there's an incredible joy, an enormous from everybody. But at the start, it's something different. And it might be what you say, what you describe. We are just before something very decisive, very important. We'll get to the end. What's going to happen now? And in the head of the Archbishop, he had decided. He had enough clarity. He would never have done something he would have understood is against God's will. God's will for him is the determining point. If he would have understood God does not want it, he would have said, okay, that's it. Mm-hmm. Very clearly, definitely. I have seen that several times. I can give you an example which has nothing to do directly with the consecration, but which shows how Archbishop Fellay, once he understood that's God's will, he will not change. It was when he was looking for a seminary, and the castle of Ars was just at that moment was for sale. And Archbishop Lefebvre said this to himself, to the people around him: if, we can pay, we can afford till that price. If they do not accept that, it's the sign of the divine providence that God does not want it. And so they proposed a price which was higher. And so the bishop said, no, sorry, I can't, and that's it. Later on, a few days or weeks later, they will come back to the Archbishop Lefebvre and offer him the property for his price. But the Archbishop Lefebvre will not take it. No, the divine providence has spoken. That's it. We don't go back. Divine providence does not change.
Wow.
The sign was given, so we will not.
It seems like a very simple reliance on divine providence that we can learn from.
Oh, tremendous, yes. And here too, once he has recognized God wants it, he goes ahead. And he had enough light to understand God wants it. When someone asked him, but why did you choose these four people? Yes. Archbishop Lefebvre showed heaven. With a finger, he showed heaven. That was his answer. You can take it as you want.
That's no pressure for you, Your Excellency.
But, it shows again, he always has been close to God. He never wanted to do his own thing. Right. And so I don't know how he chose and why he chose us. I don't know.
Right. I wanted to ask you that, but you answered it.
No, but all this to say, what was in his mind when he starts the ceremony is this. We go ahead, it's something pretty hard. There will be. He's mentioning we might be excommunicated because of that, but that's the way we have to go.
Wow.
For God's glory. He wants God's glory. He does not want, once again, his personal thing.
Right. Sorry.
Yes. No, I just want to say at the end of the ceremony, if you look at his face and so on, he was irradiating of joy. He was full of joy. Relieved, certainly relieved.
Yeah.
I guess also that the coming of Bishop de Castromayer was also a help.
Mm-hmm.
So at that moment, he was not alone. There were two.
Yeah.
And Bishop de Castromayer was on the position of the Pope. At that moment, he was probably, I say probably, he had a stronger position than the Archbishop on his hero. Is he not a Pope? But we leave that open.
Wow. We've talked about why it was justified in the Archbishop's mind, and it makes sense. But Your Excellency, to look at the canon law, did Archbishop Lefebvre go against canon law with this action?
It is very interesting to see what does canon law. You have two perspectives which are important. One is about the punishment foreseen by the law, and the other one is, does canon law provide laws which could allow Archbishop Lefebvre to go ahead and proceed? So you have these two questions, and on both the answer is yes. If you look at the canon law of 1917, so the canon law prepared by St. Pius X, published by Benedict XV, the punishment for the consecration of a new bishop is not the excommunication. It is the suspense. And the reason is usurpating a power. That is, doing something which is not in my hand. So strictly speaking, a bishop can consecrate another bishop, yes, but he should have the permission of the Pope. And so to do it without is to usurp a power. No mention at all in the old Code of Canon Law of schism. What does it mean? It means that in the eyes of the Church, for centuries, consecration of a bishop without the papal mandate was not considered as automatically a schism. This idea only comes after Pius XII and the problem in China. So yes. In the 50s, that's what's going to change, and that's what's going to dictate. Most probably, some say it was because of the Archbishop Fellay, I don't know, but most probably, let's say in the new Code of Canon Law 83, you have the mention now that there will be an excommunication with the idea, with the perspective of schism, which was not the case, once again, in the thinking of the Church. So that means, strictly speaking, following the right of the Church, the consecration does not imply a schism. It is a modern understanding conditioned by the Chinese happening. It's important to have that in perspective to understand that Archbishop Lefebvre knows canon law. He knows. They say that's new. That's after the council. The old did not say that. And so even if it is, say the Church does not want this to happen because of the good order in the Church, nevertheless, there might be reasons which might allow it. And then you have in the canon law at another level, which is what we will call the case of necessity, you have the canon law which says that if you do something out of necessity, you cannot be punished by the highest penalty foreseen by the law. And obviously, even if there is a text from Rome after that which says, no, the consecration of bishop does not fall under this necessity, it was for Archbishop Fellay very clearly a necessity. And this necessity is not, it's absolutely necessary to make bishops. It's not that. The necessity is the church is in a state of emergency. It's something completely different. And one of the elements of this state of emergency is precisely they are killing the church. They are demolishing the church. And so in such a case, in case of emergency, you are left to yourself to provide the means. And you have, at that moment, to provide the means you have. For example, you have a house which is burning. Locally speaking, that's a state of emergency. Now, those who are supposed to come are the firemen. But let's suppose that the firemen do not come. Do you just stand in front of your house? No. You do all what you can, what is in your power to extinguish the fire. So you take the place of the fireman trying to stop the fire. And if you have the means, you do. It's obvious. It's so simple. But that's exactly what we mean when we speak of state of emergency. And the Archbishop Fellay has the means, which are pretty extraordinary in that moment, to provide bishops for the future. And as the church does not care, let's say the firemen are not there to care of these needs of so many faithful priests and so on, and that which will say, with the Archbishop, understanding the right of the church, will say, all these laws in the state of necessity provide me the means to go ahead. And that's why he will say, when they ask him, do you have the mandate from Rome? He will say, yes, we do. And he explained that in the name of the necessity. He does not pretend that Rome has sent him a paper. No, of course not. But he says we have, contrary to what some broadcast is pretending. At that moment, during the ceremony, Archbishop Fellay, well, it's Father Schmidberger, who will read the mandate, which explains we are doing that in the name of, because of the necessity. Mm-hmm. And so you see there, it's not schismatic. And during all this sermon, Archbishop will take the time to try to explain what we do is not schismatic, does not correspond at all to the elements of schism. Elements of schism means I want to separate myself from the church. I don't want to obey, but it's not just an act of obedience. It's a rejecting of the power of the church. And that's not the case of the society. And even the bishops, that's why we call ourselves auxiliary bishop first. Mm-hmm. And using the words which Rome had used in the protocol, that is, in the service of the society. And so strictly speaking, these bishops do not have what we call the mission, which is given by the Pope. And so we consider ourselves like the Good Samaritan, that is, as those who should do their job don't, we help. We help. That's all.
The Vatican shortly afterwards put out the statement Ecclesia Dei Afflicta.
Yeah.
What do you think is the historical judgment of this document now, looking back in the 21st century, looking back at it? What do you think it? Do you think it holds up? What do you think of this document, Your Excellency?
We have always seen this document as trying to demolish the work of the society by saying, okay, Archbishop Fellay wants to continue his work, but we provide. You want these things? We provide. Just come with us. We give you. And so we erect the Society of St. Peter. It starts with a group of the society, priests of the society, who are disturbed by the consecration and who will join Rome. And Rome will tell them, we give you everything. Everything you need, you'll get. And they will never get a bishop first. And now you can see what they got with the Mass. And at the start, it was very clear that they would have the right to celebrate the Mass, and exclusively. It was, for me, that was the understanding. And so we have always understood this text and the institution, Ecclesia Dei, the commission, as a trick it was the mission of Ecclesia Dei and of St. Peter to take away from Archbishop faithful and priests. So say to try to make a blow. The blow is, I excommunicate you. And then for the people who fear that, come here. We'll help you. And thank God it did not work. We almost got, let's say, those who lost at that moment, they were immediately replaced by others who came in. So we cannot say that we had a loss. It was a blow, definitely, and it was a big blow in the relation with the official church. But nevertheless, for the rest, Rome started something parallel of the society, at least that appeared or wanted to appear like this, but we have always understood that as a counteraction. And when you hear now in the new motu proprio that everybody has to go to the new Mass, you say, so Ecclesia Dei was something temporary.
Yeah.
It was just for a time. And now they see, well, it didn't work, so we just drop it. And what about the people who have received all these promises and so on? Well, we shall see in the coming months.
Yeah. It's the parallels, Your Excellency, between today and the period before are striking. There seemed to be a lot of hope, a lot of optimism for, broadly, the traditional movement in the church, and now all of a sudden it seems like we're back in the 1990s again with this.
Or even worse, we are back to the 70s, and they say. Well, we shall see. Let's say it's difficult to speak about the future.
Sure.
It's easier to speak about the present or the past.
Yeah, there are some who I've seen this argument made. Archbishop Lefebvre should not have done this act. Divine Providence would have provided in some way for the traditional Mass, the traditional theology and sacraments. What do you say to that, Your Excellency?
A little story which was told to me by a Jew. So you have a big flood, and so you have a man who goes on the top of his house. He's surrounded by water already. So you have first the police who comes and say, we come to help you. And the man said, no, God is helping me. So you don't need to. And so then they come with a boat and say, jump in the boat. We are here. You just come. And the others say, no. God is helping me. No, I trust in God. And then you have a helicopter who comes and say, step in, take the ladder and come. We come to rescue you. The house is about to collapse. And the others say, no, God is helping me. And finally, the house collapses and he's drowned and so. And then he comes in front of God and say, "Hey, God, I trusted you. Why did you come to my help?" And God, he says, "Yes, well, the policeman, the boat, the helicopter, that's with which I came to your help." And I may say that's the answer. They say divine providence, that's good, but divine providence has given us a reason and a will by which he wants us to act according to his will.
Right.
And just to turn the finger and say, "God, come to help," is really passive.
Right.
And most of the time, that's not the right answer.
Right.
And in our case, I think history has already shown enough that what the Archbishop did was right.
Yes.
Was correct, was in the line of divine providence. In 2000, when we meet Cardinal Castrion for the first time, Cardinal Castrion, I say we were 3 bishops. We were invited after our pilgrimage. We were still in Rome, and Cardinal Castrion has just come back from the holidays, and he's inviting us. So we come to him, we have a nice meal, and he tells us, "Well, I look at the society, the fruits are good. Hence, the Holy Ghost is there." That's what he tells us. And I say to him, "Oh, good, Your Eminence, but where do these good fruits come from?" And there he doesn't say anything. He stops. But he sees the fruits are good. And that will be his position till the end. Mm-hmm. And even after that, for example, Monsignor Pozzo, again, a responsible from Rome, he's not going to say that to us, but he's going to say that to a high official person. He will say, "The society of St. Pius X possesses the means to take the church out of this crisis." And you see there how people in authority in the church recognize that this is the work of God. Because the means to help the church, that's not human. That's not human activity. That's God's finger. Mm-hmm. And when you have people in authority in the church who recognize that, it's like a stamp from above.
No. I have about 30 other questions I would love to ask you, but
yes,
we don't have time, and I know you're busy, and today we are just talking about the consecrations. But I guess my last question is, looking to the future. It's not in your hands really anymore. Now it's Father Pagliarani. But do you foresee conditions? I'm not asking if the society will consecrate more bishops. Everyone is asking that. But could you foresee a situation where the society would need to consecrate bishops again?
So many people ask, also myself. The answer is, I will say pretty simple. The answer is the following. When the conditions which dictated the first consecration will be met, we'll proceed like the first time.
Okay.
And that means we will go to Rome, we'll tell them we need bishops and so on, as the Archbishop did. We're going to follow the same procedure when the conditions are met. And for the time being, they are not yet there, but of course, the Superior General is reflecting on this question, which is major.
Yes. You must be a little bit happy it's not in your hands anymore, Your Excellency.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. Let's say, once again, for us, it is very clear that such decision requests to understand where is God's will. Again, it's the only answer. If God wants us to stop, we stop. If he wants to go ahead, we go ahead. But so we need to find a way to recognize where is His will.
Yes.
And that's now in the hands of the Superior General, yes.
Yeah. Your Excellency, thank you for not only for your time today, but for all of the good you've done for so many souls. So
you're welcome.
I can't say it enough. Thank you for the sacrifices you've made and everything you've done. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for listening to and watching episode 42 of our Crisis in the Church series here on the SSPX podcast. Next week, we'll turn to the situation in which the Society of St. Pius X found itself right after the 1988 consecrations and where it still finds itself today. What actually is the status of the SSPX? Is it a parallel church? Is it schismatic? Is it part of the church, but not really part of the church? The Vatican seems to not really know either. So is the SSPX just the Schrodinger's cat of the Catholic Church? We'll dig into that next week with Father Robinson. Please consider subscribing to the podcast and to the SSPX News English YouTube channel so that you won't miss next week's episode or any of our future ones. And if you have the ability to set up a monthly recurring donation of $5 or $10 or $20 on sspxpodcast.com, it would help us immensely to complete this Crisis in the Church project and our next series as well. Until next week, thank you for listening, and God bless you.